So there's a moment in adulthood where you realize you haven't made something with your hands in years.
And then suddenly your brother starts making leather bags at midnight like a Civil War ghost with a Shopify account.
Today we're talking about hobbies, craftsmanship, purpose, and why finding your thing might matter more than making money. I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
And I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD, and this is Commercially Speaking.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Whoever said you can't teach an old dog new tricks was full of shit. And I have proof. This old dog across the table used to walk in the studio ready to teach me about cap rates and underwriting. And over the past few months, I can't think of a time he hasn't walked in here showing me a stack of leather goods he handcrafted the week before. He's different. He's calmer. He's more focused, like a retired gunslinger who now handcrafts journals by candlelight.
That's fair.
One week, he gifts me a notebook, like this one here. The next week, a wallet. And then out of nowhere, he makes a leather bag that sold at an auction last week for $2,000, which is insane because I'm known as the talented brother.
That's also fair.
Today's episode isn't about investing, real estate, or even leather. It's about what happens when an adult finds their thing. That hobby you do because you love doing it. Not because it scales, not because it's content, not because Gary Vaynerchuk told you to monetize your passion by next Thursday.
And it raises a bigger question. Why do hobbies sometimes lose their magic the second money gets involved? And when does a hobby become a business?
Also, how dangerous is it when a man discovers artisanal craftsmanship at 49? Because I think Bo's one handmade leather apron away from becoming a frontier blacksmith.
Today's guest is the person who started all of this for me, the founder of Daly Goods, craftsman, creator, and the reason my garage now looks like an 1800s saddle shop, Joe Daly!
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited that you're here.
He is.
And it is your fault, man. It's completely your fault.
I think the words you're looking for are thank you, to which I would say you're welcome.
That's totally. So Timmy's heard this story, but just for our listeners, I go to this conference called Capital Camp last year in November in, of all places, Columbia, Missouri, where the University of Missouri is. And it was this really cool I've never really been to a conference like this before. It was decentralized. It didn't have a central location. There was all these downtown venues that were used, and there were so many options on what you could do. It was an overwhelming amount of options. And I saw the year before that they had like a blacksmith was there. Like you could make a knife. I got really excited about that because I went to Capital Camp planning on learning how to make knives. Like that was my thing. I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos. I was all over it. And I look at the schedule, no blacksmith. Oof. And I was like, man, but there was this leather thing. I was like, oh, that could be cool, you know?
Yeah.
And so me and my partner who were there, Brad Arns, we go and we had this little 45-minute session. And this fellow named Joe Daly is there, and he's got all these little panels of leather and these acrylic templates and some rotary cutters and some hole punches and some mallets and stuff. And we sat at these picnic tables outside of a brewery. And he's like, look, trace it out, cut it, punch these holes, run some elastic, fold it over. You got a little leather journal, notebook thing. Fits right in your back pocket. 15 minutes later, that's something real close to what I made initially, except the first one I made was completely functional and totally cool and super simple. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
I was so jazzed. And so I went on Amazon and I bought like a starter kit of tools, you know, for $100 or whatever. Started watching some YouTube videos. I was like, man, I bet I could try to do. So I made a leather tray. like a little valet tray.
Yeah.
And right away, my aunt buys one.
Aunt Dot?
Aunt Dot
Aunt
bought
Dot.
one. Thank you, Aunt Dot. You were my first customer ever.
Yeah.
But our mom, Jo, is
One of 6.
yeah, and she's a great promoter. And so as soon as I made this thing, my mom sends it to all our sisters and you know, bragging on her kids kind of stuff. And so it's just ballooned to now I got, you know, I don't have shelves and a bunch of leather like you do in the background, which is just so cool. But my garage smells like leather. I've got all these leather sides and you know, every week I'm trying, okay, what have I not made? What can I try? You know,
Yeah.
I'm still just copying everybody to learn stuff, but it's become kind of an obsession. And I keep running into Jo everywhere.
Oh, really?
So went to Dallas, me and Brad Arns again.
Yeah.
We go to the Redemptive Real Estate Conference. It's called Refine. We go to Dallas. It's at the Ritz, I think, and nice place, golf course where they used to do the Byron Nelson. And I go to check in, and they give me the goodie bag when you check in.
Sure.
I pull it out, and there's a Joe Daly leather journal right there. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, I know exactly who made that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I knew I was like this. So I'm walking back to the room to put our stuff up, and I make this little video of me holding the bag and pulling. I was like, look what I just found in this. Like, this is your stinking journal.
Yeah.
You know, and I send it to him, and I'm walking back in the place, and I look up, and there he is.
Ha.
Like he was right there in front of me.
Look at that.
I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So we keep running into each other, and
That's amazing.
so now you're on the show. So, man, I just
Yeah.
bloviated for a long time there, but I'm
I know.
so excited that you're on the show.
Yeah, he's fanning big time right now. Big fanboy. Big fanboy.
It has been crazy the way our paths have crossed a couple times since that fateful day in good old Missouri.
Yeah. Well, Joe, we both have a lot of questions about, like, you know, the business that you're in and how it works and runs and what you do. But just introduce all of us to yourself. 5-minute origin story. Did you come out making leather stuff when you were a baby? Like, when did that start? Were you crafting little leather diapers?
You know, of the many things that were on my life bingo card growing up, leather craftsman was not one of them. I am from Minnesota, and so I probably could have used some warm buffalo or cow hides to keep me warm in the winter months. But no, man, I grew up in Minnesota. My wife's from Illinois. We met at a camp in Missouri, and then been in Texas for the last 15 years now. And so I don't love Texas summers, but I'll take a Texas summer over a Minnesota winter. And yeah, leather craftsman was definitely not something I thought life was going to throw my way. But yeah, I've been doing it, you know, full time, 18 months as a hobby for about 8 years now, coming up on 8 years. And
Wow.
it's been quite the journey.
Congratulations. Full time, you said 18 months now?
Well, yeah, full time about 18 months. And so, yeah, I mean, even backing up a little bit, my wife and I met at this camp in Missouri, worked there for a couple summers, studied the Bible for a year there. You know, our faith is a big part of both of our stories, kind of independently. We get married, moved to Dallas. I never thought I'd work for the local church, even with my faith being important to me. I think you can live out your faith a lot of different ways. And I thought I'd be like a sales guy or a business guy. It's kind of what life was going to look like as a young adult. And a couple years into living in Dallas, another thing not on my life bingo card, I started working for a local church there. And so did that for 6 years in Dallas, moved to Waco to work for another church here where we live now. Did that for about 4 years. And so a decade in, I'm like, oh, I guess I am a local church guy. That's kind of what life is going to look like for me. And I was enjoying it. But yeah, eight years ago, 8 years ago this May, so coming up here soon, is when I started what is now Daily Goods. You know, similar to Bo, where I bought some leather, bought some tools, and made myself a journal. Made some for friends, family, coworkers, and just kind of one thing led to another over 4, 5, 6 year period until really getting to this point of, all right, like this isn't a hobby anymore. And I can't keep working for the church and doing what Daily Goods had grown into. So yeah, that was about 18 months ago that we made the plunge to full time.
That's amazing. What were you doing at the church?
I started off in like men's small groups as my first job, but then really evolved into more of like an operational type role. So I'm one of those people in life who likes a good spreadsheet And so, yeah, I helped with kind of finance, HR, ops, facilities, that side of the church world is where I specialized my last probably 5-6 years there.
Gotcha. And what gave you, like, what was your introduction into leather?
Man, it's a crazy story. A buddy of mine in Dallas, we worked for a church in Dallas together, and he got a journal pretty similar to how we make ours as a gift one year. And I would kind of joke with them. I was like, I'll bet I could make that. Man, that's cool. And I said it for 3, 4, 5 months, and I was both kidding and serious. But, probably 4 or 5 months into that joke, was like, all right, like I either got to stop saying this or do something about it. It had turned into this like open mental loop in my head where I was serious enough, but hadn't done anything about it. And so I got on Google. I typed in leather store Dallas. I mean, I knew nothing about leather. I never worked with it before. I wouldn't call myself handy. I'd say I'm like handy-ish.
Yeah.
And so I take my buddy's journal with me. I drive to the leather store and I'm like, hey, I want to make this. And they're like, all right, we can help you with that. And so they start walking me around the
What
store.
store was it? Was it like Tandy or something?
Yeah, it was a Tandy. Yep, it was a Tandy leather in the Dallas area. And so yeah, they start walking me around like, all right, you're gonna need this tool, this cutting mat, kind of. And I'm like doing the quick math in my head. Again, I'm working for the local church. I'm married. I got a little boy. My wife stays home. Like we had enough to pay our bills, and it's not like there was a lot left over each month. And so
Yeah.
me like on a whim spending money on a hobby was not necessarily super characteristic. I had not told my wife I was there either, which is a pro marriage tip. Said no married man ever.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I'm at the store and we get to the very end and they're like, all right, you can either buy a panel of leather. So, think like a rectangle pre-cut piece, kind of big enough to make one journal, or you can buy an entire side of leather, picture the cow cut right down the middle. In this case, it was a bison. And I was like, man, what the heck? Let's go for it. And so, yeah, I bought a side of bison leather, a bunch of tools. Yeah, I think I spent $299 and change. I remember it was just under $300, which again, I mean, that's a lot of money today. It was a ton of money for us back then.
Yeah.
And I drive home and I walked in front of our front window carrying it. A really good friend of ours was over and she kind of now infamously said, is that a cow? Which my wife, again, not knowing what I was doing, she's like, oh gosh, what's Joe doing this time? And yeah, I walked in the front door and that was May of 2018 is when Daly Goods was born.
Wow. And Daly, for anybody that's listening right now, it's Daly. I had a hard time finding the right Joe Daly when I was, looking you up. So anybody like Daly Goods, it's dalygoods.com, right?
Correct. Yep. Dalygoods.com.
Yeah. So anybody, you can go check out a shop because I'm going to ask him some questions about his website and his shop soon. So anybody watching, go pop over there and you'll see what I'm talking about when we get there. But anywho, yeah.
Well, I'm interested.
Yeah.
How did your wife react?
Man,
Like,
she was, at first she's like, what is that? Like what, we didn't, again, I wasn't into like woodworking, leathercraft, like none of that was really part of me or our story or our marriage up to that point. And so, I bring it inside. She's like, what are you doing? And, I think I had told her about my buddy's journal before. I don't remember exactly if it was like 100% out of left field, but man, basically those first 2-3 years, especially, man, I married a really loving, kind, patient, godly woman who was patient with me because I pretty much hijacked our kitchen and dining room table for a season,
Nice.
making leather goods and slinging leather hides around the house. So she was patient and supportive. I mean, she's always been patient and supportive, but especially was in that season. And then, yeah, as it grew over time, continued to be patient and supportive, but really was one of the main voices to help me and others see like, all right, this has gotten to a point where it's no longer sustainable to kind of keep doing this and keep working for the local church full time. So she's been supportive all along. But I say this in the most kind and complimentary way possible about my wife. She doesn't have a business bone in her body. And again, I mean that like as a compliment to her. That's something I love about her. And so it was never like, oh, this thing that she like nerded out with me together on from the beginning. It really just was a hobby for me, right? I was doing it to kind of cover my costs, and if we made a few bucks, great. But there's a great quote I read that I didn't read it until a few years into the hobby. But when I did, I was like, oh man, this is what Daly Goods is for me. And the quote is, if you work with your mind, rest or Sabbath with your hands. If you work with your hands, Sabbath with your mind.
Ah.
And so, man, that just, once I read that, I was like, oh man, that's totally what Daly Goods had been for me up until that point in time, where
Wow.
I was working a knowledge job basically. And so daily goods was just this thing, that I could do nights and weekends. It was like fun, restful, cathartic even.
Yeah.
And
That
Bo,
really
I'd be
lands.
curious, even just, have you heard that quote before? Does that resonate with you at all as you've gotten into it lately?
I've never heard it before, but man, it resonates.
Me too.
Because like when, I'll go to work. When I head home, we'll have dinner. And then my wife and my daughter are crafty. So, my wife will be cross stitching or diamond painting, and my daughter likes a diamond paint. And so I'll be sitting right in between them, like stitching,
Yeah.
and it's, I never saw that happening,
Yeah.
but it has been, it has just, everything you just said, like that quote perfectly explains what it's like. It's like an energizing rest.
Yeah.
It does calm me, and I'm pretty calm by nature, but it
Calms the mind, right? The thoughts, the concerns of the day, or what next do we need to do to be more efficient or productive?
yeah.
I think it's hard for most of us in our family to like rest.
You know what it's done? My mind's always in the future.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking about what do we need to accomplish next week
Yep.
or whatever, but not when I'm leatherworking.
Yeah.
I'm in the present,
Yes.
and I'm with my wife and my daughter more, like physically in the same space as them. And
Yeah.
I've totally taken over part of the kitchen. Like my wife listens to these episodes, and when she hears you talk about how you took over the kitchen, like she's gonna relate to that.
Yeah.
She and my wife need to hang out, but no, it's really, like I don't think knowledge work is bad or wrong. I mean, I'm grateful the world has turned into a lot of knowledge jobs. I think overall, we're better off for it. And for most of human history, like people worked with their hands in some way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about like physically and tangibly experiencing like the fruit of your labor. And so again, I don't think everyone has to do that. I don't think everyone has to get some sort of hobby or craft, but there is something that's really kind of unique, and I'd even use the word special about taking the time and effort to craft something, and you get done, you're like, oh wow, like I made that. My own two hands like made that, and it's a cool, unique feeling. That's again for most of human history, I think was really common, and yet today it's less and less common just based on how society and culture has changed over time.
That's right. I on that point, or to take that further, like I think it is so important, or something that is probably missing in a lot of people's lives that they don't even realize it. Something like this, a hobby where you are doing something with your hands. Over the past few weeks, I haven't gotten into leather yet, but I can't wait to come over and see your thing. But
Are you going to talk about the sandbox?
yeah, part of it.
Holy moly.
So I've been going and collecting pallets, right, and getting the wood and want to make some pallet stuff. I've just really Dad got us like this little electric chainsaw. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I pulled it out, and that thing works. I was like,
does.
oh yeah, it works really good. It cuts wood like butter. But I ended up looking up a video because I wanted to make the kids a sandbox. We're doing stuff in the yard, and sandbox just one little piece of it, but about the last 3 to 4 weeks, I've really, like, once I started spring cleaning our backyard and the shed and just getting it to a place where we want to be outside and hang out outside. I set up a swing set for the kids in a unique way. Tara's had this vision of like a mud kitchen and a sandbox. And so I did. I made a sandbox where the cover of it opens up and it's 2 benches on either side. And, again, like, it is, and also planting. Like, last night I trimmed some basil. Like, I've had one basil. Sorry, Taurus calls it basil. That's how they say it in Ireland.
Okay.
Basil, right? I got one basil plant. Now it's 6 basil plants that are growing. We've got several different plants. Birdie and helped me like dig up a spot in our backyard to put wildflowers, right? So we dug it up and prepared the soil. We're composting. It has brought a balance in my life that it was missing. The working with the hands, especially when it comes to gardening too. You're with the earth. You can actually sustain yourself with the things that you're growing. A lot of people think the future is agrarian. Agrarian. That's how you say it.
Agrarian.
Right? Agrarian, right? And I guess my whole point in saying all that is you being an inspiration to Bo to start doing this with his hands has in turn inspired me to want to do more with my hands and do these things that put you present in the moment and has brought the family together.
Yeah.
And to in a space that we can enjoy like we, haven't been able to in the past. And yeah. Like I love doing yard work, which I never thought I would,
Yeah, that was never.
Yeah. Sorry, I just went on a long tangent there, but I really do think having this in your life, again, I don't think everybody needs to do it, but some hobby or something that can really bring you to the present moment is.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really had a hobby before.
Yeah.
I can't think of one. And I've never done anything with my hands before.
Yeah.
And when I started, I was telling somebody the other day, you give gifts and birthdays and stuff like that. Now, my wife is a gift giver. That's her love language. She's great at it. She's super thoughtful. In a lot of respects, over the 25 years of our marriage, like she's taken over the gift giving aspect. Alice handles a lot of gift giving for me, my executive assistant. I make sure that we know the dates of important people in my life, and then she'll often do that. But she hadn't done that in the last 6 months because I've started making people stuff. And what I've found is, for the first time in my life, there's this huge amount of satisfaction in creating something for somebody else. Buying something for somebody else never really did it for me. I was like, okay, I checked the box. I did what I was supposed to do. I hope they feel loved because I love them or whatever. But like, it's different now.
Yeah.
And man,
That's
I love
right.
it. Like, I'm looking for reasons to make somebody something.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's all your fault. Thank you. I mean,
It's a matter of time till you move to Waco and join me, man. We're gonna grow a leather empire together.
Well, he might.
telling you.
If you do, we'll go to Austin, so we'll be close.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll go to Austin. Joe, before this, would you say you had a go-to hobby? What was your hobby? What did you like doing? Or is this kind of like Bo? This is kind of this newfound hobby that he never really.
Yeah, it's funny. I wouldn't say, so I've always liked to read, but, and then, probably like buying and selling stuff off like Craigslist and Facebook. That was definitely, I love, finding something and flipping it and just finding value. I would say that was probably my hobby if I had one, kind of before Daily Goods. But, and yeah, I'm trying to think, you get married and you have young kids. I'm like, you don't have time for hobbies in a sense. And so, but earlier in life, probably kind of reading, flipping stuff on Facebook would probably be the two things. But yeah, I didn't necessarily have like, a leather type hobby like gardening or woodworking before. And so, it was new for me as well when I first got into it.
And this is a question for both of you. Like and we've touched on it a little bit, but like, how has your life changed a little bit since, if you were to explain it to somebody, of course you got a business now, but I guess on a different level than that, is there a newfound purpose?
It's one way I think about where I do think of it in my faith. I believe God created everything. He's a creator, and we're created in his image, and just as little image bearers of a creator, like we are created to create. And that can look vastly different for lots of different people. That doesn't even have to be creating with your own two hands per se. But I think in every human being, there's an element that we were designed to create things and bring order out of chaos and just make good, beautiful things. And so, I think in that sense, it's made me appreciate that more and in a different angle than I ever would have before, having created something with my own two hands. And again, I think, creativity, that can look different, a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. But, to your point now it's more of a business for me. It kind of has turned back into more of a knowledge job. And I don't find myself at the craft table as much as I used to. But when I do, it does still kind of bring back like, oh man, there's something satisfying about making this with my hands.
Yeah.
It slows me down. And I love how, the word you guys used earlier, like it makes you more present, right? I too can be so prone to, man, what's next? What's next? What do I got to do? What's coming? As opposed to just like, man, who and what is right in front of me? And I think working with your hands kind of forces that present reality, which is, I think, I'm the best version of myself when I'm present, which is much less than I'd like to admit.
Yeah. Well, the first time we ever talked on the phone, I was ordering from your company, and I was sharing with you some of the stuff I think I was asking you some questions, and I think I asked a question. You're like, I think I'm just going to call this knucklehead. And so we jumped on the phone and I was sharing with you just the extreme amount of surprising satisfaction that I was having doing this, and just the creation aspect of it. I never really made anything. And that was your answer, what you just shared. It was like, man, we are made in God's image. He's a creator, and you're literally unlocking something in your soul here. And I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
At the point where it began, you're making stuff and then you start selling things. Was it kind of where friends and family saw what you were making and they wanted to buy it? Or were you like, I'm making this stuff, I'm going to try to sell it? Can you give us like that journey of, that transition from hobby, making it for myself or gifts for people, to selling?
Yeah, man, in a really humbling way, so much of our growth, even back to the beginning, has been word of mouth and referral. It's been people sharing us with their friends, and it was coworkers who were like, hey, can you make me one? And to which I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And they're like, well, let me buy it. I'm like, oh, you don't need to. Like, no. Like, man, I want to buy it. You got costs. And so, yeah, at an early stage of Daily Goods, people bought it and gifted it to their friends who wanted to, every so many of those would buy it and gift it to their friends. And so a lot of it really has been that organic, kind of slow referral, word of mouth growth, which we've been just really, really grateful and humbled by. I know that's not every business's story. And so we're grateful for that. But yeah, the first probably first 3 years was really more of a hobby. Like, we made some money, but I would just buy more leather or new tools. And I would kind of, it always got like a hobby amount of time. And I would say even like a hobby amount of headspace. But I made decisions as if it was a business, and not even like super intentionally necessarily. But again, I thought I was going to be like a business guy or a sales guy. And so I'm like, well, if a small panel of leather costs, I'm making up the numbers, $20 a square foot, and I can buy an entire side for $10 a square foot, I'm like, well, man, that's a better deal, right? And so let me save some money and buy the full side. So just like things like that, I would do those first few years. And then, really, there was an event kind of at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021 that really catapulted the company in a way that 2021 we grew massively. Still a hobby, but 10x probably what we did in 2020.
Wow.
It was like, all right, this is an intentional side hustle now. And then 22 we grew, 23 we grew, and then it was in 2024 where it's like, all right, I legitimately, nothing happened, thankfully. Like, I didn't break. No, my wife and I were okay, right? Life was okay, and it was like, man, what I'm doing is not sustainable. I cannot keep running this side hustle company while I'm trying to be faithful at a full-time day job at the church and be a good husband and be a good dad and just take care of myself. And so, it got to a point where I had zero margin and was living reactively. Like, I wasn't present because I was constantly thinking about what I wasn't doing.
Yeah.
So that was the point where it's like, all right, something needs to change. And that's when we started to pray and seek counsel, which ultimately led to going full time.
What was the event?
Man, it's a crazy story that we were, let's see. So we moved to Waco in 2020 during, there's this small kind of local event called COVID happened. I don't think it hit too many people, but no, worldwide event, COVID happens. And even moving to Waco, that's a longer, different story for another day. The short version is we loved the home we were in Dallas, the church we were at in Dallas, my job, like life and ministry was in Dallas. And in a very, very short period of time, through a series of events, we'd say God called us to Waco. We weren't running from anything. We weren't looking to leave, and just, crazy way in a short period of time. we moved to Waco. And so we're in Waco and we buy a house for the purpose of renovating it. And we're in December. We had saved up some money from the sale of our home in Dallas and then just some money in general. So we're getting ready to renovate this home in January. And in December, our pastor, who's my coworker, my boss, my friend, again, I worked for the church with him, and I'm over all like ops and finance. And so he gives a sermon on the church's debt, and I was well acquainted with it. And debt was a big part of my wife and I's story. So when we got married, I had never had debt. She had about $80,000 of debt. So the day we get married, man, we believe that becomes our debt, not her debt, but our debt. And so we were convicted to try to pay that off quickly. And so her private Christian school elementary teacher salary and my church salary, right? We weren't like rolling in the big bucks, but man, we lived simply, 1-bedroom apartment, and we paid it off 6 days before our 2-year anniversary.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So like, man, let's get this behind us. Let's be debt free. And so that was a big part of our story. And so that December, as he's sharing the sermon, and we're like, man, what would it look like for us to participate, above and beyond just normal giving, to really try to help our church pay off our debt? And so we felt called from the Lord individually from each other. Then we came together to give more than we'd ever given in a calendar year before, as like a one-time gift. Like it was categorically different in kind than we'd ever gotten to be a part of. And man, we prayed and we sensed this is what God wanted for us. And so, man, we ended up giving, roughly half of the renovation budget to the church.
Wow.
And it was, first off, it was awesome. It was like one of the most fun, joyful, humbling, cool things we've got to be a part of. And we celebrated even the specific amount with like close friends of ours. We think there's a lot more freedom within like close friendships and circles to just share openly with finances, to challenge each other, encourage each other, learn from each other. And so, man, we celebrated that. We were convinced that's what faithfulness looked like for us in that season. And then, guys, this is where it gets crazy. Man, we did that. We kind of said, all right, let's move forward with half the renovation. And 30 days later, God resupplied everything.
Wow.
To use a modern phrase from like what younger cool kids say, the math did not math. Like it did not make sense.
Yeah.
And so that and a big portion of what he resupplied us with, there was kind of 2 or 3 things, but one in particular was just the biggest order at the time for Daly goods. And so to be clear, I don't believe it always works that way. We didn't give with that in mind. We didn't have that expectation, but man, in that season, in that specific way, 2021, the company just, again, I think we almost exactly like 10x'd what we did as a hobby in 2020. And we do believe that was part of it. And so since then, as God's continued to grow the company, we're doing our imperfect best to continue to be generous with what he's asked us to steward. It's been a crazy, wild ride that we did not plan and did not see coming.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm learning about the leather business, so to speak. And I think yours is a little unique. So I want to set this up a little bit. Like I went, met you, made that little leather journal, got all ate up with it, bought a few tools, started watching videos. So the guys I'm watching online are, Little King, Chris, is it Chris?
Ryan is that
Ryan.
Little King. It's quarter leather. He does a lot of videos.
Yeah, and then Artie with Mask On. These are the people on YouTube that I'm watching to learn how to do it.
Right. So Ryan's channel is called what?
Little King Goods.
Little King Goods, yeah.
Little King Goods. Shout out Little King Goods.
So like when you go to his website,
Yeah.
you can get $300 wallets.
Dude, Ryan, for anyone listening, Ryan makes some of the most beautiful handmade leather goods out there. They are gorgeous.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And then you got this guy named Artie in Virginia, I think, with Mask On Goods. He's kind of my favorite. His stuff's more rugged.
Yeah.
But he makes these wallets that are massive, like massive wallets for just massive dudes, and I mean that figuratively speaking, and I think one of the first ones I tried to make was like one of his, I was trying to copy him and see, like, can I do that?
What do you mean massive? Like a physically, because I pictured a wallet twice the size of this.
It's like, will it fit in my back pocket massive?
Oh, gotcha.
Really
Gotcha.
thick. A lot of his stuff, that's his style.
George George Costanza,
Yeah,
massive.
maybe Georgia. But that was kind of what I was drawn to. And you go to his website and you can buy these, they're hand stitched wallets, bags, a bunch of other stuff. But it's all you have to order it. He makes it for you, and these big numbers. And then, but what Joe does is a little bit more on the, like I would call like corporate gifting side.
Yeah, we're really like the way I've said it recently. We're still kind of figuring out our ideal language, but we're really more a gift company that specializes in leather than we are like a leather goods company.
And so what Joe makes is it's simple,
Yeah.
and it's elegant, and it's got like a cool factor to it, And a lot of the things that I've been trying to do are way more complicated so far. But,
Dude, you're making stuff 6 months in that I've never made, 8 years in. Yeah, you're getting into the true like leather craft with seams and edges and beveling and skiving and sewing stuff that I've yet to touch.
But
Yeah.
this is my style. Like when I try to learn something, I try to learn all of it.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And so I don't know where I'm going to end up landing in any of this, or if it'll just stay a hobby forever or whatever. But like, talk through, like when you go to your website, and I did this, like I ordered a bunch of journals from you and coasters, and we put Barron Commercial Group on it. We
That's
put
right.
Hearthstone Capital logos. And so you were able to order the stamps and like emboss all of these things. I didn't even know what embossing was before. And I gave them to clients, since they were client gifts with our company's names on it.
Yeah.
It was that kind of a
right.
really, really cool. But just talk about how did you land on, hey, this is going to be my lane.
Right.
I'm not going to be trying to compete in this space over here, but like we're going to make the coolest leather gifts
Right.
that people can order 5 or 100 of, or 1,000 of, or man, when you were showing me how much leather you had behind you, kind of blew my, like when he panned over a little bit, I think you were, there's this particular kind of leather called Pueblo that I think's really cool. And it smells the best.
Yeah.
All leather smells really good, but that Badalassi Carlos stuff just has a different kind of smell to it.
Hey, I might, Bo, if I know you've loved leathercraft, I could tell you something that might make you want to quit leathercraft right now. If you're not careful. And I will say the worst part about owning and running a leather company is you stop smelling the leather eventually. I do not smell it anymore, man. I walk into my workshop and I smell nothing. My entire team, they don't smell it anymore. So I will say, be careful. That's probably in your future. The more you keep hanging around good leather.
We grew up by a bread making company.
Yeah.
Colonial Bread.
Yeah.
And man, at certain times you'd drive by and the wind would be blowing right, and you'd get that new bread smell.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and the people who worked there talked the same way. They went nose deaf to that smell.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
it won't make me quit leather, but it would be a sad day. If I
It's a sad thing.
It's
But no, man, to answer your question though, just on the gifts and whatnot, we, kind of all along, again, kind of going back to just how I'm kind of wired up to think, it's, I'm not, oh man, always scale, but it is like, oh man, could this scale? Could this grow? And stay handmade, right? And so I think there was something with me. It's like, man, I'm not anti machine manufacturing. I'm not anti overseas manufacturing necessarily, but for what I was doing and what I'm trying to build, I love the fact that I get to provide meaningful jobs for people in my hometown.
Yeah.
And here in Waco, Texas, and going back to kind of what we started with, just the joy and the fulfillment of creating something with your own two hands. And so kind of all throughout, I was like, man, how can I grow this thing to be a sustainable, profitable business, all the while, not have a 6-month lead time, right? For, you get into some hand-stitched wallets or handmade totes or duffel bags. You're going to just only either increase your price or lead time. Both things aren't bad necessarily, but man, how can I do things quickly with excellence, without compromising quality? And so we've really kind of leaned towards just simple leather goods. And then, man, on the gift front, I love a good gift myself. I love, thinking through how to get to know someone, man, what are they going to like? What's going to surprise them? What's going to make their day? And so I think, yeah, helping people think through with like a logo or initials, colors, that's just something I kind of naturally nerd out on anyway. And I think part of that's just me coming out through the company. But yeah, I love receiving a good gift and giving a good gift and just helping people think through and how do you give a good gift, which again, in the day and age of like technology, this automation, that, it's almost, I could say gift giving is like a dying art. And I was like, oh man, it's so fun, right? One of my favorite passages in scripture is it's more blessed to give than receive.
Yep.
And I think the specific connotation there or context was like financial, but I think the principle applies in all areas of life. Like, man, it's just more fun and more joyful to give than it is to receive. And so I love getting to run a company that helps people practice that very thing.
Well, let me ask you this, and we are kind of going into this conversation as now becoming about me and what I want as opposed to what the audience might want or you or not. But Timmy, there is a little bit of a debate I have picked up on online on what constitutes handmade and what doesn't.
Okay.
When it comes to leather crafting. So, Joe, what constitutes handmade? Like you just commented like you wanted to stay in that handmade space as opposed to like, machine made or production. So what is handmade?
That's man. Yeah. Great question. Different people are going to define it, with different maybe lanes or variables or flavors. The way I personally think about it is like a human is responsible for every like step or process, right? And so we do have certain machines that we use, but a human is still the one who is like manipulating, activating, using the machine. And then they're still like touching and handling the leather with every step of the process. And so even if we use, for example, a machine called a clicker press, and we get stainless steel dies made. So think like if you've made Christmas cookies in like the shape of a snowman, the shape of a candy cane, the shape of a tree, right? We get thicker stainless steel dies made for the different leather shapes that we need cut out. And so the machine helps cut the leather, but there's a person, we right now we only employ moms to do all the production. They're the ones who are like handling and using those machines, and every single piece that gets cut, they are using and moving and clicking the machine themselves. And then same with stamping it, same with kind of tying it, some of the different steps in the process. So yeah, we're not anti-machine necessarily, but I guess right now I'd probably be anti-automated machine. Would maybe be a delineation I would make to say, hey, that's no longer handmade in my book. And so that's how I've thought about it. But yeah, I agree. There is kind of different people. There's like purists, right? No machines. And just kind of different people have different takes on that.
And that's the debate is like whether you use a tool like a clicker or something. There, like a purist would say that's not fully handmade. Yeah.
Or like a sewing machine versus hand stitching.
Hand stitched versus sewing machine, clicked out versus not clicked out.
Or like hand cut.
Like that,
Yeah.
It'd be like saying that's not a homemade cookie because you used an oven.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a crazy comparison.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Warm it up in your mouth?
Yeah, or like build the fire out back to cook it.
Oh, yeah.
Without wood, because then you're using something else.
Right. But you got to chop that wood without an axe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, can't use it. Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. It's like, how are they cutting their stuff? With a knife?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of folks will use like a little, like a X-Acto knife, a pocket knife, a roller, different things like that. But
sounds like a lot like a clicker to me.
Dude,
like
what kind of clicker press do you have?
We've got a couple of them. So we've got a couple 8-ton manual clicker presses. We've got a 4-ton manual clicker press, and then we've also got a 20-ton hydraulic clicker press. As well. So yeah, we've got a few of them in our production process.
I gotcha. So those things use electricity.
The hydraulic one does. Yeah. The hydraulic one uses electricity, but it's still like a human is moving the arm, clicking the buttons. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That totally makes sense to me. It totally makes sense to me too. Purists that are out there, in any field are going to put their nose up at like,
That's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they could probably, they're probably able to charge a lot because they did every stitch with their hands,
Sure, you
Yeah,
can probably.
we could choose to make a journal cover that's got multiple layers, pockets, hand stitched, and we'd sell it for 3-4x what we sell our journals for. But there's no way to speed up the production at that point. You just if people want more of them, your lead time just has to. I guess you could just keep hiring that many more people. But yeah, that's kind of the nature of handmade is like that balance of quality versus production efficiency is something we're kind of always juggling.
So I mentioned to you before we started recording that I took this class in Pendleton, Oregon, from Makers and Aaron Heiser, who's right there down the road from you.
My backyard, man. It's 5 minutes away.
I know you guys are buddies. So I fly out to Portland, Oregon. This is probably a month ago. Fly out to Portland, Oregon, drive 3.5 hours into Portland to this little place called Pendleton, which is where this huge rodeo is. Like Pendleton, Oregon, evidently is a big deal, but I'd never really heard of it or been
me
there.
either.
And I took this 2-day workshop where Aaron Heiser of Maker's Leather Supply, YouTube guy, I've learned a ton from him online. Got to hang out with him for 2 days, and he taught me how to make that leather duffel bag. And first time I'd ever been on a sewing machine since home ec class. Learned how to do a zipper, which I was afraid of.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I couldn't believe, with him looking over my shoulder the whole time and showing me how to use a sewing machine. And when we showed up, they had everything cut out.
A
for
leather
us.
stitcher, not a sewing machine. A leather stitcher.
I was telling Timmy earlier that I got a sewing machine, but I've been calling it a leather stitcher because it sounds more manly.
Yeah. I was like, just call it the Cobra 4, man.
Yeah, I was like, it's called a Cobra, man. It's very manly,
Yeah.
But I made this bag. I couldn't believe that I had made that thing.
It was unreal. It's unreal.
And so Timmy and I are in Philadelphia last week. I'm surprised you weren't there, Joe. It was a commercial real estate conference.
He would have been great.
Yeah.
He would have been great there.
Oh man,
Yeah.
L.A. in the fall, in October. We'll see if we can.
Come on, we'll see if we can't line it up.
Let's
It'd
hook
be,
up. He should make a bunch of CCIM.
Heck yeah.
Like they should
Oh,
hire.
this would.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Throw
then,
his name in there.
and then we'll definitely launch our leather empire from there.
Come on.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh, we're in Philadelphia, and there's the CCIM Foundation, which I was on the board of, and they provide scholarships to veterans and a bunch of other folks who are trying to get into commercial real estate to take educational classes. And CCIM has the best education in the commercial real estate space. That's kind of our main thing. So scholarships to take courses and get into the business.
There's so
really
many people. During the pinning. When it's like, who's here on a scholarship? The amount of people whose hands were raised. Yeah. Anyway, that's for our listeners. There's a lot of scholarships there that they're trying to find people to give money to. A lot of people are going through with that.
So
anyway,
basically, if you're not like me who had a dad that put you through all that stuff, it's for you.
Yeah.
And
anyway,
so we're having a big CCIM Foundation fundraising dinner, and Timmy's emceeing the whole conference, and he's emceeing karaoke night, which was this fundraiser, and we had a live auction.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to the ladies beforehand, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll make a bag for next year. And then I thought, well, this bag I just made is upstairs in my room. I'll just give them this one, and I'll make another one.
Yeah.
And
Such a killer bag.
it was hard to part with.
Yeah.
But
Like, man, I'm surprised you did that.
I was like, well, I'll just have to make another one.
Yeah.
And so Timmy auctions off my bag,
Yeah.
and somebody buys it for $2,000.
2000.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
And it was a friend of mine who did it.
But it was a battle. It was a battle. Like
Yeah.
it kept going higher and higher and higher and higher.
I couldn't believe that happened. And
But it was nice. It was nice as the auctioneer to be like, this is the first bag he's made. He's got a lot. You're buying a piece of history here.
yeah, he was really hamming it up.
It's the hidden talent that Bo has. You're gonna want a piece of this anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, Timmy was really hamming it up, but
It's a good bag.
it was really cool.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing. So yeah, now I have a sewing machine and a skiver, and
That's
And
one
it's
more sewing machine than I own. So we get
less
requests all the
handmade.
time to do like sewing and stitching, and just so far the answer's been no, but we'll see, maybe someday.
Yeah, I was going to ask you with that, like going off of what you said, like keeping it simple. When I went to your website, at first I was a little surprised because, Bo walks in with, when I saw your wallet, it's a no stitch wallet. And I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
But I was surprised because, Bo talks about you all the time. And as far as like, this is why he's in it. This is why he's doing all this. That moment, that experience at Capital Camp. And most of the things, he's made for me are coming in. It's got this really great stitching work. And, I just didn't connect, or I connected dots that weren't connected of like, oh, this is Joe Daly's, designs or whatever, which they're not, right?
Yeah, no,
Well,
this
that
is
journal
not-
looks a lot like one of his, but
This
Yeah.
is not flattery. I've told Bo this, but I'm like, the stuff he's doing is way more complicated than the stuff we do. I mean, it really is. Like the work he's getting into is beautiful and really kind of taking the craft to the levels that you can take it to. And so again, we might choose to pursue that someday for our company and offer products like that. But so
Yeah.
far that just hasn't been the path we've chosen and the path we've been down.
Yeah. So when I went to your website, I was like, oh, this is they just have a few products here, right? Where I thought there would be way more. And it's a good thing to have a select amount of products, right? Especially if you want to scale and go out. So that's what I'm curious at. And Bo asked you about that, like what led you into doing what you are making and selling now. You said you have, it's all women who are making these things. You don't have any men on the...
Yeah, right now. So when the company was a hobby, kind of turned side hustle, where it was still out of our house, and I'm gone all day at work. My wife was home with our two young boys. We didn't want a man at home with her, and vice versa. We didn't think that'd be wise or best, and so we hired a friend of ours from our church who's a mom, and she'd literally be at our house, kind of by herself in the home workshop. My two young boys would interrupt her every like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Miss Kayla, come play with us, right? And so, and it was awesome. And so when it came time to grow, she's like, well, man, I have a friend who'd maybe be a good fit. And kind of it slowly evolved where right now our entire team is 5 women who are all moms. Man, they're so much more than mom. They're talented. They've got degrees. They've got skills. They're gifted, and they're a mom. And so, what happens is every Sunday, they send us their hours for the week. So they truly can prioritize their family and their family schedule first.
Wow.
And then be an employee second. And so we always work our production schedule around their schedule. And it's been a blessing to them, a blessing to us. And man, I trust moms more than I trust any other demographic on planet Earth for a multitude of reasons. But man, they've got a sweet friendship, both in the office, in the workshop, and outside the workshop. And really, I'm trying to create a work culture that's loving and encouraging, right?
Yeah.
Again, going back to my faith, just driving so much of what I do. It's like, man, if we're focused on the bottom line or efficiency and margin above meaningful jobs, good paying jobs, and a culture that's loving and encouraging, man, I'm missing it as a business owner based on my faiths and my beliefs. And so, yeah, those women in the most literal sense, man, they are daily goods. And they take a ton of pride in everything that they make, again, with their 2 hands.
Yeah. That was my question. Like when you started hiring, how did you find your people? And that makes total sense. You had somebody, they tell somebody, and then, it slowly accumulates to who you have. And then, you met Bo at this event, right? So you came at the event, and then I guess you were there in Dallas. Were you doing an event there in Dallas as well?
Well, it was somewhat similar, but yeah, that was kind of my question along those lines is how did you get plugged into the events? Like, who did you know at Capital Camp that asked you to come and do what you did?
Mm-hmm.
And who do I send the thank you card to?
Yeah, and how much of that is a part of the business? Like, what percentage of that is part of the revenue, or is it more a tool for marketing?
Sure. Yeah, no, great question. So about, in general, about 95% of our business is like that bulk corporate logo, church, conference, kind of the logoed gift is a lot of what we do. We've got a website where people can order, individual things, and we'll probably never stop that. But the bulk of our business is kind of those logoed volume gifts. And so I don't even remember. I think I had a friend who had gone to Capitol Camp in Main Street, and he was trying to get me to come just as an attendee back when I was still, full-time working at the church, because he knew my hobby was growing. And again, I've always enjoyed business. And so I never went, but I want to say I just shot someone who worked there an email and was like, hey, if I think it was like hey, I've heard about you guys. I've got friends who know, Brent B. Shore, who runs all of it. And so it was like a lukewarm maybe lead or introduction. And one of the guys who works there, he and I hit it off. We've got some similarities in our stories. And so, yeah, we don't do as many in-person events. There's not to be against hard work, but there just are a lot of work. You got to prep the inventory, pack it up, travel there. And just, there's a lot. I have a huge respect for folks who make a living kind of going to markets and things like that. I mean, man, that's a whole different ball game than making the goods in your workshop. But yeah, a good friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, was on the leadership team for Redemptive Real Estate. And so he's like, bro, Dallas, Waco and Dallas are only hour and a half, 2 hours apart. He's like, man, what would it take to get you guys to come up and do some stuff for our conference? And so what we did for that is we added people's initials in person. So we had already added the logo ahead of time in our workshop. And then on the spot, people could come up and tell us their initials. And we'd hot stamp and kind of brand the leather with their initials in person, which is a fun kind of surprise and delight for the attendees. Nice.
There's one journal on here called the Exorcist Files. What's that? Tell me that story.
That's a buddy of mine. He runs a podcast called the Exorcist Files. Ryan Bethay is his name. And that's just one we're working on. We're still kind of tinkering and figuring out how can we make it easy for people to buy stuff from us so that, friends who want to sell it don't have to set up their own Shopify. So yeah, just kind of figuring out page navigation and menus and how we tag and do different things like that. So,
almost like you could do drop shipping for people.
Correct. We actually do a lot of drop shipping. One of our sweet spots is client gifting, like prospect gifting or client gifting. We've got multiple different clients who will just, all you do is you send us the name and the address and we take care of the rest. Whether it's one at a time or dozens, hundreds, thousands, even, we're set up to fulfill all that for folks.
How many products, like for these journals, for instance, how many of those are made right now, stock? Like how much stock do you have? Or is it mostly, on as they come in, you make them?
Yeah, we try to cut ahead, so kind of the outline, if you will, or like going back to like the die or the cookie cutter shape of the leather. We try to stay ahead on those, maybe a few dozen at a time. So not that many. I'd love to be further ahead there. But so a lot of it is, we get an order for 200 journal covers and it's like, all right, go get the brown Italian Pueblo and let's start cutting some medium journals for that. But we try to stay ahead more for those like website orders so we can fulfill those pretty quickly. But all kind of the bulk custom ones, those usually we're cutting them as we receive the order.
How long does it take to make one of those? Like if you got an order for 200 journals, medium size, without the little buckle. Is it the buckle? Yeah.
Yeah. Those. If that was like top of our production queue, the only thing we're working on, we could make those in a couple days.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got multiple cutting machines, multiple cutting dies. Five women on our team who are all cross-trained on some of the different machines, and so yeah, we like to joke Amazon's one of our biggest competitors, and so how can we make stuff quickly without compromising quality and maintaining the integrity of being handmade in America?
That's right.
How have you handled inventory? Is it something you figured out by trial and error? Like you look behind you.
I'd say figuring. No past tense. Definitely don't have it figured out. But no, that's one of the biggest things that we wrestle with, honestly. That's as we're growing, which, man, we're grateful to be solving growth problems right now. We're really grateful for that. But that is one of the things we're trying to figure out because, it'd be easier to keep 3 stock colors and that's it. But we, as more of a gift company, we like the ability to offer different options to folks. And so, we could always push out a lead time for a custom blue leather, for example, but we like trying to have different inventory. But yeah, different leather products take different thicknesses of leather. So you've got color would be one inventory to keep in mind. Thickness would be another. the temper, which is like how stiff or how flimsy the leather is. Like there's these different variables that all go into play with different products. And so, yeah, we're constantly trying to figure out cash flow and inventory so that we can make stuff quickly, but not have, too much cash sitting on the shelves, if the orders aren't coming in. So yeah, cash flow, inventory, that's a big, big thing in my world right now.
Yeah. And so here's how I've hobbyisted inventory so far is I remember buying, I went to Tandy in Louisville, Tandy leather store. It's about the only chain leather store that I'm aware of, at least. And I bought a shoulder of some leather. It's a pretty big piece. And I remember thinking, is Autumn going to roll her eyes at me when I walk in the house? That's how I felt. Kind of when you were telling the story about how you showed up with that first side of leather, I felt that story, and it wasn't, of course she didn't.
Yeah.
And, when I talked to her about going to Oregon to learn how to make a duffel bag out of leather, I was like, baby, you're going to think I'm a little crazy here, but what would you think if I asked if you'd be okay if I were to want to do this? It's like,
ask.
Yeah. Hypothetically.
She looks at me and she's like, do it. I love that you've got a hobby. Like it's like she hasn't kicked me out of the kitchen yet, and when I leave for a week, I'll try to pack everything up and get her full kitchen back, but she's been so supportive, but
we all have too, by the way. We all love it.
Yeah.
We all love it for you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Inventory wise. So I bought that leather, and then I was watching, I think, a Mascon leather YouTube video, and he talked about how he's getting this Horween leather from either Tannery Row or Maverick Leather, which is in Bend, Oregon. So I start going online, and I'm like, oh, these are kind of expensive. And then it was about Christmas time because Joe and I met in November. All of a sudden, it was Christmas time. They were having sales. Horween did this, like you could get 10 hides or 10 sides for like $700, but you don't get to pick what they are. They just send you whatever.
Gotcha.
And I was like, well, I can probably figure out at some point what to do with some of this stuff.
Right.
And so I did. So all of a sudden, I got a lot of leather, and I'm almost trying to hide it. I can't believe I just did this. You know? And am I going to get in trouble? But so I accumulated a little bit of inventory of just the raw material as I'm learning how to make this stuff, because I wanted some options because I was trying to figure out how to make something new every week was sort of my cadence, and I'd find a pattern or I'd find a video, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do that. And so, when you're doing wallets, you're not eating up this leather very often. And at first, it'd take me a week to build something, and then maybe it'd take me a couple days to build something, and then maybe I could do most of something in an evening after dinner, and then finish it the next night. But now that I've started trying my hand at bags, uses a lot more leather. So I emailed Tannery Row, which is Horween's, retail arm.
Yep.
A big tannery up there, and I know Joe.
I got some friends there. Bro, have you visited a tannery yet?
No, but I was just in
Next
Chicago.
time I go to a tannery, I'll ping you and we'll schedule it together. Visiting a tannery will blow your mind.
Oh, I would love.
Oh, wow.
But I emailed them and I was like, hey, how much would I have to order to get like wholesale pricing from you guys? And they were like 100 square feet. Like that's 5 sides. I was like, well, what is said wholesale pricing? And it's significantly less.
Wow.
So I just made my first
Wholesale.
Horween 100 square foot order so I can make some bags.
Let's go.
And I did tell Autumn about that one ahead of time. So when the big box shows up, she's not surprised. But I was like, this is way better, And then so I did the same thing to the Italian tannery that I'm a big fan of that Joe uses a lot of. And 500 square feet of just a color, of one color. 500 square, that's a bunch. That's a whole lot.
Oof.
And I was like, okay, so not them. But But that's how he does it because he's doing that kind of volume. You know?
Right.
So when he panned his camera over earlier, there's all this Pueblo leather that I'm such a fan of. And it's like, it looked like something I could just go jump in. I was like, I'm going to smell great for a week.
You're going to have the first company that's producing leather sheets.
They keep you warm, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's, buying it by the foot from the tannery is definitely the most cost-effective way to buy it. But to your point, you got to buy a lot of it at once. And so once you add in different colors and thicknesses, it can quickly add up. And so, yeah, that's a roller coaster ride. We're constantly riding and figuring out kind of the best way to go about that.
Let me ask you, because I see Chick-fil-A on here. You've done some bulk gifts for Chick-fil-A, it looks like. How did that come about?
Man, again, I don't remember the original one, but I think it was just a Chick-fil-A operator was gifted one of our journals from a friend, with their initials on it, probably.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, can you make some of these with the Chick-fil-A logo? And I was like, man, as long as you give me permission to use the Chick-fil-A logo, you bet. And so, yeah, and then he was kind of posted on like a Chick-fil-A operator Facebook group, I think. And then, a bunch of other operators reached out to us. And so, yeah, we, just stuff like that has just been so kind, the way people have shared us with their friends. And there's one story in order we got a pretty big order. I think it was 3,000 journal covers that we did for a church. They were having a leadership meeting trying to figure out they're doing this capital campaign and they want to give a meaningful gift and incorporate prayer and try to just honor their members as they're asking, hey, what would it look like to participate? And they're having this meeting and two people in the meeting had one of our journals. They're separate hoarders and gifts. Who knows how they got them? But one of the people was like, well, what if we gave them one of these? And someone next to that person's like, wait a second, I've got a journal that looks like that. So they flip them both over, and sure enough, they had both been gifted one of our journals through various, still don't know how, and that led to an order. And so, yeah, we've just been blown away by folks' support of just sharing us with their friends, and kind of the word of mouth and organic has been so much of how we've grown.
Yeah, that's amazing.
When did you, and I'm thinking like in terms of just business strategy, you've created Daily Goods in a way that is scalable. But like, tell me the story about when you made the decision to buy that first clicker press, because that's a couple $1,000s at least, probably.
Yeah.
To make those dies, at least a couple $100s for one. If you weren't using that beforehand, you're doing things by hand. It takes a lot longer. And at some point, if you're going to scale, like that's the obvious next step, clicker press, dies. And that can get pretty expensive real quick. So like, how did you make that? Like, when did that happen? What was the lead up to that? Did you get the order that just required it?
Yeah,
you had to do that?
Exactly. So the first big purchase I made was a small, like a hobbyist laser, CO2 laser. So I bought that probably 2 years into starting it, and processed and kind of saved and thought about it for like 12 months. Back then I'm working for the church. My wife stays home, and I'm like, am I really about to drop, I think it was like $4,000 on this laser as a hobby? And that was like, again, buying $299 of tools and leather was a lot for us, and had saved up enough to, justify, we thought, wisely, to buy a $4,000 laser. So I did that. That was kind of the first big machine. And then we were able to see, all right, like this thing can do some stuff and it can pay for itself. And then, yeah, that story I told earlier with that significant order that we got in January of 2021, that was like, all right, I can't do this by hand. I have to buy these machines. And so I was familiar with the clicker press at that point. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will, to invest in some clicker dies and a clicker press to help fulfill that order. I don't remember now. I want to say it was like 1,500 or 1,700 journal covers, something like that. That was back in 2021. It was a while ago, but yeah, I was like, all right, I'm not cutting all those by hand. It'd take way too long. And so yeah, we were forced in a good way, if you will.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Like in acting, when it comes to SAG-AFTRA, you got to pay like once you once you have done enough SAG-AFTRA jobs to be eligible, you know, there's a like $3,000, $3,000 to $4,000 initiation fee, right, to get in. And it's always like, well, don't pay that until you get the job that pays for it, you know? Yeah, that kind of thing.
I tried to manufacture the job where I could justify getting a clicker press.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I made a little. It was just a simple little, card sleeve.
Yeah.
Like one piece of leather, you fold it over, you stitch it up, and I sent it.
Like for business cards? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And I picked the right color, and I sent it to a buddy of mine who, has the business. Who I was like, man, like for him to order 100 of these for his employees and clients and stuff would be really cool. You know, we could put his logo on it and stuff.
Yeah.
And that would, I get 50% up front. That would justify,
Right.
at least in my mind, I could say, okay, I got to buy this now, baby.
That's
Like,
right.
I got to go with this thing.
I'm gonna have to make sure. I'm gonna make sure your wife has my contact info, and she can call me if she questions your purchases. I can do some accountability for you.
Hey, I'm telling you, man,
Great idea.
she has done nothing but completely support this. It's all been in my head.
Yeah.
Like that idea that I just sort of verbalized.
Yeah.
That's all been in my head.
Yeah.
You've
And
got
she's-
you've got the bug, man. It's a fun one.
It is a fun one. I keep calling it my midlife crisis, and people are like, "Well, that's a pretty good midlife crisis."
It
to have,"
sure
It's
is,
like,
yeah.
Okay.
It's better than getting a sports car and dark hair dye, you know?
Yeah. Nobody will believe the dark hair dye.
Yeah. Now that it is a business and you're focused a lot on the business, and like you said, you're not the one getting in there and doing the actual leather work as much as before. How is that, where you've got that moment where it's a hobby, you get it, makes it present. You've got this this honeymoon love that we see with Bo right now with it, right? What's the question I'm trying to ask here? Of course, it's changed a bit.
Do you still love it?
Yeah. Do you still love it? Do you miss what how much you would actually do it? That's a question I want to start with.
Yeah, no, I do. I think it's like a little bit of like a both and. I think of my marriage. I'm like, oh man, it was a sweet season when we were first newly married and didn't have kids and could do what we wanted when we wanted. And we've been married 13 years now, and I love my wife now more than ever. Right?
Yeah.
I love both seasons, and I love them differently. And so I think now
That's
to
a
your
great way to
point,
answer that.
with like a hobby and going to a job. Right, it's like, oh man, this is how I pay my mortgage now, and this is how I pay my bills, and so there is a component to it that's definitely changed. But I mean, I love getting to do it. Again, I used the phrase earlier. This was not on my life bingo card.
Yeah.
This wasn't some like dream or goal of mine to own my own company, let alone a leather company. It's just not what I thought life would look like. But man, we're having a blast. Gosh, meeting you and just meeting people has been one of the best parts about this. Just the relationships I've formed through crafting gifts for folks has just been a blast. And yeah, I was the ops guy at church, right? But I think I've kind of evolved and I'm growing into more of a visionary. And I really could see what a 10, 20, 30 plus year vision of this could look like. And it gets us excited to do that. My wife and I have no desire to sell. I'm not knocking people who do want to sell a company, right? Grow it quick and sell it. That's not our goal. Our goal is to grow this thing over decades. And then really even then, our vision as of today would be to give it to who we think is going to steward it best, to keep the gifts going, to keep the meaningful jobs going, to keep the generosity going. And just, we see the business as this thing that can do a lot of good, with the right long-term vision. So again, that's not to knock a short timeline. That's just not the timeline we sense that we're supposed to have with this company. And so I think with that longer term kind of bigger vision, that keeps me pretty excited and pretty motivated. Even though, my job looks a lot different now. And so I'm still, in our small team, I would say I'm probably still the head of R&D. And so, we do enjoy kind of coming up with new products here and there. And I get to craft with my hands, but Right now, we need to hire and add to our team so that I can create some more time and space to do things like that, which is still a lot of fun and life giving. But yeah, it looks different, and I still love it, kind of all at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
it
we can
certainly hasn't ruined it for you.
Oh, which is really good to hear. We should have a conversation maybe offline about what changes in your life when you get an executive assistant.
Oh,
Everything. Holy
That's Lord willing, kind of some form of administrative help is the next hire we'll make. And so,
Hey, I'm telling you, man, we should definitely talk about that.
I'm all
Superpowers
ears,
HQ is a sponsor of our show, and
Superpowers-
they're out at holy moly.
superpowershq.com/commercially speaking.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
But you know what I learned yesterday?
what's that?
When you put rivets on a bag, and you forget to attach the strap, and you try to take the rivets off, it's very difficult. And here's what I learned: if you take a Dremel grinder and you grind that copper rivet down, it creates a tremendous amount of friction. And copper is tremendously, is the word conductive?
Did you burn yourself?
Oh my gosh. Little burn blister there on the finger.
oof. My
Probably
goodness.
can't see it. I did not know that. And I learned it yesterday, and it got so hot that it burnt the leather that it was on.
Ooh.
Like it's a black little ring under that thing.
Yeah.
Luckily, this bag is for my wife, so I can just replace the strap and put another rivet in. I don't think you'll see the black spot, but
Yeah.
that might fail later on.
Yeah.
But then I can just make her another one.
Ouch.
Whoa, I was surprised.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was going to happen. So I'm learning a lot, and I'm cutting myself a lot. My hands have never been this mangled in my entire life, but I've never done anything with the hands either. So except for type.
Guitar.
Oh yeah,
You're a guitar player. I know we got to wrap up here in a second, but I want to ask you both something.
okay.
And what's on your bucket list right now for making, or what would you like to make? Leather making, like a shoe or a hat or a pair of assless chaps, maybe. Like what's on your bucket list to explore?
Yeah, I hadn't considered the chaps.
Yeah.
That's
That's the same question to you, Joe. Coming to you.
So I just made a tote bag for the first time.
Yeah.
And it looks cool, but it's pretty janky. And so I'm about to finish up version 2, which is much better, but I still made a lot of mistakes. So
Yeah.
a couple more iterations, I'll probably feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to make another duffel bag. But the next up, and I've got the pattern cut out and ready to go, is I'm going to make a satchel and a backpack. Like those are my next two, like
Nice.
sort of the leather briefcase
Yeah.
satchel kind of thing. Those are the next two things that now I don't know if I'll ever make them again,
Yeah.
but
Right.
I'm still like, I wonder if I can make that. And so I want to try that kind of thing. But
All right. That's what's
That's
what's coming up.
boots, I've gotten a little obsessed with leather boots,
Yeah.
but I don't know that I'll ever try to make one.
Yeah.
Like that seems like a completely different skill set. That's shoemaking. They use leather.
Dude, we
Yeah,
should
I
go.
see.
Bo, we should go. Man, I'm gonna plant a seed. A guy I know, he doesn't have one on the schedule now, but I think he said he's gonna bring it back. He took a group to Italy, to a tannery in Italy, to make shoes.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm like, man, that would be fun. Make your
Pretty sure
own.
autumn I'd have to make my wife a leather passport wallet.
She could
so
come. She could come with and make her own pair.
Hey, zero chance I go to Italy and she's not with me.
Right,
Zero.
right. We could do it. We could do a double date to Italy together for a week with our
Hey,
wives.
I gotta come.
Come on,
I gotta
yeah.
come. Come on.
Hey, you can. You're always welcome. brother.
Yeah. No, I'd love to go. I'm a fun person to have a beer with. I promise. Promise, Joe. What about Joe? What's on your bucket list?
Man, I'll answer it two ways. So it's like personally, again, I've done like next to none of the cool stuff Bo's made. And so, yeah, I think if I ever got into some of the other kind of lanes of leathercraft myself, I do think like a backpack would be really fun to make someday, or a duffel bag. Yeah, just something that I could use, day in, day out for years to come, I think would be fun. Pair of shoes, even, taking a class to do stuff like that. But on like the daily goods front, we are gonna probably one or two of the next 3 projects will be, we really want to get into covering Bibles. So like handcrafted leather Bibles. We're working on a laptop sleeve or like an iPad sleeve or a cover. And then we're also working on like a leather koozie right now. So those are kind of three things that are in the pipeline that'll probably hit here sometime in 2026.
Nice. So when you're coming up with these new products, what's that process? Are you getting in there? Are your employees, are they?
Yeah. What's the R&D process look like?
Right now, it's still me doing most of the R&D, and so I'm not a very like original thinker. I'm good at seeing something and then tweaking it or improving upon existing ideas. And so, I'll see a product like, oh man, that's cool. I wonder what spin on it I could add or make or tweak to make it better or just make it different, make it my own. And so, but yeah, I'll just get in and start kind of tinkering and playing. And so whether that's, a lot of that's just by hand at first and kind of folding it. We do have a laser machine as well, which can be helpful for like prototyping. Just you can edit the dimensions and sizes and specs with a file and kind of cut it out quick and then fold and play with it. And so kind of, again, that like hand plus technology component. We don't really use the laser to produce stuff. We'll use it to customize things sometimes, but it can definitely be helpful from like a prototyping standpoint. And so, yeah, just kind of tinkering and playing with it and getting the dimensions, the proportions, the edges, it's kind of getting it just right before once you order one of those dies, those stainless steel dies, there's no change in those things.
That's right.
They're not cheap. And so you want to make sure all your specs and sizes and dimensions are good to go before you order a die.
I've got a buddy who I'm trying to get to help me with Adobe Illustrator because there's a few things that I've made that like that seems to be like there's one version of the wallet that both you and I are carrying.
Yeah.
My buddies seem to really like that one. And I'm like, I want all my buddies carrying my wallet.
Bro, if you've got ones that you like, send me the dimensions in the file and I'll make you an acrylic pattern for it. That'd be easy with my laser. That'd be so easy.
Hey, yes.
Bro, maybe that right there is the reason we had this conversation.
Maybe for me,
feel your addiction that much more. That would truly bring me great joy to help you with that. I mean, if you have the file or the dimensions, I've got something that's I don't use Adobe, but I use a software that can do the same thing. And that's a perfect example of why having a laser is just a fun, really, really useful tool. It's almost a tool that like makes tools and makes jigs and makes prototypes. That's what having a laser has been helpful for us more than the actual like production side of things.
Man, that's step 3 in your 7-step.
Step 2. We'll get to step 3. Okay. He's not ready for step 3.
Well, for most of our guests recently, since I've been doing this, they come on the show and I'll make them something and I'll send it to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I going to do for?
Man,
what am I going to do for you?
I'll take one of those duffel bags. I'll take a $2,000 duffel bag. No, man.
Oh no! Look, if it weren't in a like competitive fundraiser kind of thing, it never would have sold for $2,000.
I don't know. That's really pretty awesome. Anyway. That's pretty awesome.
I would proudly and gratefully take one of your goods. Again, man, you're doing stuff with leather that I'm not, and I've seen pictures, and I think I saw one in person there in Dallas not too long ago. But you're making some cool stuff. It's been fun to watch from afar.
Well,
did you make this one?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's great.
That's probably what he saw in Dallas. That's kind of my daily.
He would love that.
I didn't mean to do that, but that's my daily carry.
Ah, gotcha.
Like notebook wise.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. He would love it. He would love it. Last question I had actually, a lot of like, and we were just talking about it before coming in here. When it comes to like woodworking or leather, cutting, putting things together, stitching, all that stuff goes that is great content. Whether you're talking to the camera, teaching, or just ASMR.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, do you all make any content or videos at the moment? Or are there any plans for that? Because you're doing really well. Word of mouth is what it sounds like.
You know, we haven't yet, and that's I've got no one. We have no one but myself to blame. I'm not a content original thinker, social media guy by nature, and so I'm not inherently against it. I just it's just not kind of my personal cup of tea or thing that gets me excited or where I naturally spend my headspace. So I have started posting on LinkedIn more lately. Just meeting people that way. And again, with a lot of our business being more kind of that corporate, you know, B2B side of things, you know, that's worked well for us. But we could do a whole lot more than we do. And I am the bottleneck and reason we don't. And I say that with a self-deprecating smile on my face. We're trying to change that. And I'm trying to delegate and hire and empower my team. Cause we've got an amazing team. And I don't want to be the thing that holds us back. And any way that we're held back right now is because of me. And so trying to change that day by day.
Well, if you want, like, I'd be happy to get on an hour call if you wanted to talk through what that would look like as far as social media, because that's my wheelhouse, my bag, and that's what I'm good at.
I was thinking while you were talking, I was like, man, what you need is a Timmy. You can't have mine.
Yeah. But like I can.
All right, now you guys have me figured out. That's step 3 of the plan to get both of you down here. And so now that we know, I still got 4, 5, and 7 in the bag, but now you know steps 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, hey, look, seriously though, like if you just want to sit down, I think I could really help
That'd be awesome.
you. Yeah, not have to make a lot of decisions, but show you how easy a system could be put in place to make it happen.
I appreciate the offer. I'd love that.
Yeah, cool. Yep.
Well, man, this has been great. I feel like we could just keep rolling, but I know all of us have other things to get to. But
I can't believe how long we've been going. That was awesome.
Oh, it was like
an
hour plus of pure bliss.
That's right. Hey, Joe, tell everybody where they can find you, reach out to you, anything you want to send our listeners.
And you're good. Thank you. Just, dalygoods.com. And, I think like it was said earlier, that's just DALY. There's no I or no E in there. Just DALY, dalygoods with an S.com is the best way to get a hold of us. Or just the best email is hello@dalygoods.com.
I like that.
Hello.
I like that email. Yeah. hello@dalygoods.com. That's great.
Yeah. And,
awesome.
And I can tell you, it's easy to use. Like I've ordered from them, gotten on there, just kind of pick out what you want, pick out the colors. They make it super simple. Send them your logo. They get the stamps created, and all of a sudden your logo's on this awesome leather stuff.
Yeah. Do you know what else makes your life super simple? superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. They can pair you up with a virtual assistant that can help 10x your time, eliminate the suck. It has changed Bo's life just as much as this leather obsession. So check it out for those in the back, superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. You can follow us on social media at commercially speaking or on X at comspeakpod. And we've got a newsletter. Subscribe.wgbaron.com. Joe Daly, thank you so much for being here. This has been incredible.
Awesome.
Guys,
Thanks so much.
It was a lot of fun.
It was so fun. I love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Yeah. Bye, Alice. Woo. Bye, Bridget. Bye.